afternoon and welcome to the show. I'm Deacon John Blehosh. The topic for today's show is going to be a Catholic practicing law, and I have as my guest attorney Robert Kasper. Welcome, Robert.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's good. And I've always been curious about how Catholics can, work as attorneys, and because of the way the legal system has changed over the years, how do you exactly fit it in with a practicing Catholic and still be able to be within the limits of the law?
Well, it isn't easy. I don't think it's easy to be a practicing Catholic to start with. So.
Okay, yeah, you're right there too.
Yeah.
Okay,
But everybody thinks about lawyers, right? There are thousands of jokes out there, right? So what do you call a lawyer that's face down in a pond?
Yeah.
A good start, right?
Yeah, right, yeah, right.
Or 99% of the lawyers give the rest of us a bad name, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so disparagement in the practice of law and for lawyers is certainly nothing that's new. I mean, it goes back to probably the earliest recorded history.
Right.
But I think of, particularly from a Catholic perspective, Saint Ives, who's one of the patron saints of Catholic attorneys, was a Briton back in the 14th century.
Right.
And if you read anything about St. Ives, there's a treatise, I guess, by brothers on lives of the saints. And they have this wonderful Latin quote in there that sort of brings it home to you as a practicing Catholic trying to be an attorney. And do you mind if I read in Latin?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
So, Sanctus Ivo erect Brito, avocatus et non latro, res miranda populi. And what it translates to is that Saint Ivo was a Briton and a lawyer, but not dishonest. An astonishing thing in the people's eyes. Even back then, even when they were writing in Latin,
Yeah, right, exactly.
there was some question about how you could possibly be a good Catholic and also be practicing law. So, but I think it boils down to 3 or 4 or 5 points maybe that you really need to think about as you're practicing law as a Catholic. And one I think, and this is actually one that every attorney needs to think about, is competence in what you're doing, right?
Correct.
So you need to make sure, especially for those younger people out there that are thinking of being an attorney, when you're in college or high school and college, don't be taking the fluff courses. Be taking the courses that make you reason, that make you come to rational decisions. Don't shy away from math and science. And don't take things necessarily like philosophy. There's plenty of other things you can read to become philosophical or to get a good perspective on philosophy. But there aren't very many courses that really teach you logic and how to reason. And the same thing goes when you're in law school. Unfortunately, I think the trend in law school nowadays is to add a lot of fluff. And, you get the law of certain genders or the law of certain, races or that sort of thing, rather than a general overview of how you're actually going to practice law, or even more important, the nuts and bolts of practicing law.
Right.
So few of especially your top law schools, have any types of courses in trial advocacy, or where they would put you as an intern with an attorney and actually trying to work with the law in a practical sense. So a lot of people come out of law school, I think, with a lot of general ideas about what the law is or what it should be, but no real idea of how to actually put that into practice.
Right.
And a large part of that too is not just competence in what you're going to practice, whether it's real estate or criminal law or civil litigation, but an ability to run a business.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. There are different divisions in law, and some people actually specify. Have specific areas, specialize in certain areas.
They do.
Yeah.
Which is right. Actually, I think I sort of made the choice. I started off as an attorney in the Navy.
Okay.
So I did a lot of criminal law work there.
Right.
And you start off as a defense attorney, and then you switch over to trial attorney.
Right.
I did a lot of medical malpractice kind of stuff with in terms of claims that were being made against the naval hospitals.
Right.
So it kind of gave me a good background, a good feel for what I really wanted to do, and it certainly wasn't going to be criminal defense.
Right. You mentioned that, yeah, right.
So when I came out of that experience, it kind of focused me on the fact that I wanted to do something that where I could sit down with people, and at least for the most part, they'd be fairly happy in meeting with the attorney,
Right.
and where I could accomplish something for them. So that
Right.
led me more to the transactional side of the law.
Yeah, right, right.
In particular, estate planning, where I could help people with planning for the future, trying to avoid calamity in case something bad happens in their lives, working with older people to make sure that they get the proper benefits they should have, but
Correct.
also making sure that they also have a proper plan in effect,
Yeah.
so that things transition
Well, I
smoothly.
know that
to-
because you helped us out tremendously, me and my wife, when her parents passed away, and the estate we had there and like that, and with my uncle with the house. So we know we got the experience in that's for sure. But I mean, it was helpful, and that's what we needed, is somebody that we weren't aware of what was going on. Somebody had a guide us through all this because of the situations with the law, with the taxes, with there's a time frame, I guess you have to wait for things, period,
Yes.
like that. So that all had to be, gone through and all that. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that all gets back to the competence issue, too.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And what I didn't hit on in competence is that it also takes time in the reins, okay?
Right,
You
yeah,
need to work at the law
Right.
for a time before you actually become competent enough to really give, I think, good advice to your clients.
Right, right.
And sometimes the best advice you can give them is that, don't pick me, I'm going to refer you to somebody else.
Okay, now,
Because I don't feel competent handling this.
okay, the other thing is that's what I was gonna ask you, is that as a lawyer, can you actually refuse taking on clients?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah, for the most part, in the practice of law in the United States, if the client comes to you, you can either decide to take on that case or not.
Right, exactly,
Right.
okay.
Now, obviously, if there's a time limit to what the client needs to accomplish, they've been served with some sort of summons, or they've
Right.
got a criminal case pending.
Yeah, yeah.
They need to. If you're not going to take it on, you need to make sure you refer them to
A person that can actually
to an attorney
want
who
to
is
do it, yeah,
competent, right,
exactly.
to handle
That's
that,
good.
right? And then, of course, it's up to them whether they actually pursue that or not.
Right.
But-
Now, you mentioned, and I have to bring this in, when you said you're in the Navy, and now, this was what they had, the show called JAG, similar to that, where they had lawyers that worked for the Navy?
Yes, well, actually, when I came out of college, I was on an ROTC scholarship.
Oh, you were?
So I was
Okay.
already commissioned when I graduated from Stanford University. And that was the end of the Vietnam War.
Right,
So the military was downsizing quite drastically at that point. I had gotten a fellowship to go to Duke University, but I was assuming I was just going to have to defer that. But instead, I was able to apply for a deferment from the Navy.
oh,
And they allowed me to go to law school at Duke University. And then when I got out of law school, instead of becoming a surface line officer, which I was designated to be, I ended up becoming a judge advocate general,
I see, that's
which is
what
an attorney in the Navy.
that's what the JAG stands for, yeah, right, right, exactly.
So,
Now, you're originally from the West Coast, right?
well, actually, I was an Army brat. So,
Wow, go ahead,
Yeah.
man, go ahead.
yeah, so I was born in Fort Belvoir, Virginia.
Okay,
My father was a colonel in the Corps of Engineers.
oh, really, okay.
Yeah, he went through World War II, Pacific, with MacArthur.
MacArthur,
He was
yeah, right.
Yeah, he was a West Point grad.
Tough general, yeah, okay.
So that's where I was born in Fort Belvoir. Then when I was 5 years old, we actually went overseas, and we were in France for 1 year and then Italy for 2 years. Then we came back to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. That was quite the change
Right, I
of
would say.
locales.
Yeah, really.
Going from being on we were basically on the coast and on the western part of Italy there with the beach 200 yards away to the middle of Missouri.
Yeah, well,
Down the
that is
Ozarks.
quite a change, yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it was even bigger change for my sister, who was in
Right.
high school at the
Yeah,
time.
right. But what made you want to become an attorney, though?
Actually, that didn't come upon me until I was at the university, at Stanford University, as an undergraduate, and I went to their Stanford overseas program
Oh, okay.
in England. And while I was there, I took a course on English common law from a professor from Oxford, and part of that got me interested in it. So I actually went down to the Old Bailey, which is the big courthouse in London.
Yeah, I mean,
And would watch the trials.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I found it to be very intriguing and interesting. So yeah.
Even have some shows on TV about that on PBS. Sometimes they had the Bailey on there, and then
Yeah, well, the British system is different from ours, in that they're still under the old common law system. So
Right.
they separate transactional lawyers like myself from the trial attorneys.
I see.
So to be a barrister or a trial attorney is a specialization over there.
Right.
And that's all you do are trials. And
Yeah.
the solicitors, who are the people like I would be, I guess.
Right.
When if we had a case that needed to be tried, we would actually take the client to the barrister, and then the barrister would try the case.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what it means though is when you go into a trial situation in England, the people that are in court really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
The
Right,
barristers
yeah.
are very skilled.
Right, exactly.
in
Yeah,
their
that's the
advocacy.
specialization.
Yeah.
Right. So now, to get back, being an attorney and going across different situations, how do you fit that into being also a Catholic and being able to stay within the guidelines of being a Catholic and an attorney?
Well, I think you have to me, it's a matter of faith, so.
Yeah, okay.
And you really have to kind of focus on what's important in being a good attorney.
Okay,
so
fine,
we started
right,
with
yeah.
competence, but another
That's
thing.
the main thing right there,
I
yeah.
think a very important part of that though is your character.
Correct. Okay, yeah.
So I come at it with the position that you want to be fair and honest with your clients. You
Right.
want to show them respect and compassion.
Right.
Okay. And you want to keep your promises most of all.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yes.
So
Right. Now, since over the years, actually the laws have changed in the country and everything, and do you see this as a big challenge as an attorney?
do I see the change in the laws?
Yeah.
I don't see so much the change in the laws as a challenge. Obviously, you have to keep current, and you're required by most of your bar associations to take a certain number of hours of continuing legal education every year in order to stay current with that.
Yeah.
But do I see an issue with the sort of separation that I've seen since I graduated from law school 42 years ago to now? It's a separation between the Judeo-Christian tradition of what the basis of the law is and more of a law at the will of those that are currently making the law.
Correct. Okay. Yeah.
To be a great divide, and to me,
That's what I'm driving at. Yeah.
if you're going to be a practicing attorney as a Catholic, I think you do sort of need to don that suit of armor and be a warrior for your faith.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And I do that on the political side, I guess, not in my office or not
Right.
with my clients.
Correct. Yeah. Right.
But I think you do need to engage in that, because
Right.
I do think we have come a long way from where we started 42 years ago.
And I kind of agree with you there. Yes.
And I think it's a major problem. It's a major problem in education. It's a major problem even in the law schools, I think.
Right. No, I guess part of the reason why I'm asking is that if you have a client come to you that you know this is not exactly following the laws of Jesus Christ and the Ten Commandments and what God set up, and they come to you as a client and you actually don't want to take them on, they can't come back at you and say you discriminated against them because of what they're trying to push forward.
Well, no, what you would say to them is that you don't feel competent to handle that particular matter.
Fine, and that leaves it at that. Yeah.
And actually, you would not be competent to handle that matter if you did not come to it with a clear conscience and with the ability to represent them 100%.
And there goes competency again right there. Yeah, right, and I agree. And that's basically what you're saying to me, and what I'm understanding is that to be competent is the very first stepstone right there.
Yeah.
Of wanting to be a decent, a good attorney and a faithful one and an honest one and whatever, because...
Well, yeah. Competence, character.
Yeah.
To me, we have a lot of problems within the legal profession in terms of drug and alcohol abuse and that sort of thing.
Correct.
And
yeah.
certainly, sort of the gold standard of an attorney is how hard you work and how many hours you bill, particularly for the bigger law firms, which is why I never went to a bigger law firm.
Right, yeah.
So it's like you're supposed to bill $2,500 a year, 2,500 hours a year rather, which meant that you were basically going to be living in the office.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts work ahead of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the way a Catholic should live.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, there are a lot. I think you should be putting your family first
That's right.
before your work.
That's right, exactly, yes, yeah, right.
Yeah,
And especially if you get married, I mean, this is what you got married for, to have a wife and children and to have a family.
Right.
And to do your job to support them, but not to be overly, on the side of being too much work and neglect the family.
Right. Yeah. Because if you're consumed by work, right, you're going to be a failure in your obligations to everything else.
Right. Exactly.
So,
You know.
yeah. So. I think that's an important thing to remember.
Yeah, it is, yeah, and especially in today's society, because I think that the family's not like it used to be anymore anyway, so that's been redefined, and everything in society's been redefined by people who want to push the what do they call it, the political agenda, or being politically correct and all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, it even goes to law schools now. It's a shift towards what I would call moral relativism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, almost trending towards nihilism, where
Correct, yeah.
there is no standard. You just make up your own standard of what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so every individual has their own standard of what's right and wrong, and as long as they're living up to their standard, everything's going to be okay.
Right.
Well, to me, that's the definition of anarchy. But
Yeah, I remember reading a book in moral theology. They want us to read. It was called Situation Ethics, and basically what it was is that if it's good, do it, and then that's basically what it is, you know. But I mean, it always doesn't work out good that way, because there's always going to be a situation where something doesn't really jive or come together.
yeah, that's true.
And then you got yourself into chaos. But
That's true.
I like that. But so 42 years, huh? You looking forward to retirement?
I am, actually.
Yeah, I know that. I was going to mention that. Yeah, right. Because when I called the lady that you had brought on as to take over your law firm, and you feel comfortable with.
I do, actually. Well, Pam Little is the person that I've chosen to associate with, so I'm going to be of counsel to her for the next year, and then basically hopefully be transitioning my clients over to her good care.
Yeah.
But I chose her because first of all, because she is very competent, and also because I believe she has very good character.
Right,
So,
right, and that's good. That's a good thing. Yeah, and I mean, you want to make sure that the clients you have are willing to stick with her, because she has the same ethics and morals that you've had along the way, and
Right.
to stay with it.
Right.
That keeps her business growing too.
And to me, she has a good sense of balance in terms of work versus family too. So,
Right. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
So she has grandchildren now too, just like I do. So.
Right. So.
She understands the importance of family.
And that's the main thing. That's the main thing. So. But like I say, I mean, overall, over the 42 years, did you enjoy? You enjoyed doing.
Oh, I have very much. You know, I would have to say that certainly my experience in the Navy, I think, was probably one of the best parts of practicing law.
Right,
And that opened up that opportunity for me.
Yeah.
Because it went far beyond just the initial little, 3 or 4 years of active duty service doing the trial lawyer thing.
Right.
But from that, I stayed in for 32 and a half years, basically, in the reserves, and was recalled to active duty 3 or 4 times with the, ongoing conflicts that we've had since in the Middle East.
Right. Yeah.
But I developed an expertise within the Navy of being an operational attorney, which means that I was an expert on the law of war, which some people would think, what the heck, that's an oxymoron, but there actually are standards that apply.
Yeah, right,
in terms of what
yeah.
you can and can't do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And what you
That's
can,
a good thing.
what you can and can't attack.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be some standard here somewhere. Yeah,
Right. I
right.
mean, we sort of lost that standard sometimes, like in World War II with the Nazis in the concentration camps
That's
and things
right.
like that, or
That's right.
or the Japanese with their intern camps.
That's
but,
right. Exactly. Yeah.
but,
People don't realize that, and this might be a little bit off the subject, but the thing is that people don't realize. I mean, I knew some guys here in Bellows Falls that actually were POWs of Germans, and also there's a guy that was had since passed away, but he was also in the Bataan March of the Japanese. So, and people don't realize that. That.
Well, that's a whole other subject, I think.
Yeah, right.
But again, into the lack of, I think, of education these days in terms of the kids that come out of grade school, high school, or college. There's a total lack of knowledge about the history of our country.
That's right, exactly.
About where the concepts that are embedded in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, where they come from.
Right.
What they mean, why they were meant to be eternal standards, not something that we change over time due to wherever we feel like that morning.
And this is what's happening now. Yeah, exactly. And I have to agree with you, because I mean, up until this point in time, there was a standard everybody lived by. There wasn't much chaos in the world and the society as there is now today, because of the realignment of different things.
Yeah. Well, I think there's we're men, okay?
Yeah.
Or women. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what you can say politically correct these days, but I'm used man in the sense of all human beings.
All human
okay?
beings, correct? Yeah.
Saying all humanity,
yeah.
all human beings
Yeah.
are not perfect.
Correct. Well, we know this, right, exactly.
So and to me, the beauty of the law and the fact that it comes from a Judaic and Christian traditions is that forms barriers around the actions that we can take against others without punishment.
Right.
But also sets up a standard for how you're going to be judged for your actions. Which, to me, we've really lost a sense of when it comes to something like what Judge Kavanaugh just had to go through.
That's right.
Where we're now taking it on the social media level and on the national media level to you are guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
Whatever a person says has to be taken as true, no matter what the facts are.
Right.
And there's so many people, and unfortunately, I've involved on social media with my nieces and nephews and so forth.
That's right.
They buy right into that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like the Me Too movement says the woman is always right, no matter what she says, no matter when she says it, no matter what facts are behind it, and therefore, if I, as an attorney, question that and say, well, how about this and how about this and how about that?
Right.
I am actually told on the social media that I'm a monster.
Right. Exactly.
That I'm on the wrong side of history.
Right.
It's like, how am I on the wrong side of history? Because I want to actually uphold the common law standard of innocence until proven guilty.
Right. Right.
You know?
And that's what it
Why
should be.
am I on the wrong side of history? If I'm on the wrong side of history, then God help this country.
Exactly.
Because now we're going to Nazi Germany or Stalinist Russia.
That's right.
Where the leaders decide who's right and who's wrong.
Right, right. Exactly. I agree. 100%. And the thing is that maybe I get to get off the subject is they were talking about Nazi Germany. Back then they had we were studying in moral theology was the wedge theory. Began with abortion, euthanasia, and genocide. And this is what they practiced. Okay? If you're nothing to society, they put you in a camp. Whether you be an old person, a sick person, or a Jew, or whatever. Now in this country, you got the same thing going on because what's going on? You got the abortion now. What they call doctor-assisted suicide is going to open up the doors for euthanasia. Basically, if you go into a nursing home or a mental health institution and say, well, get rid of these people because they're no good to society. And then genocide, it's been practiced even right after World War II in Africa, Bosnia, Herzegovina. So it hasn't stopped yet, Bob. You know, it's still there.
But where does that get practiced? To me, it gets practiced where the rule of law breaks down.
That's right. Exactly.
And we are a country that's founded on the rule of law. But to me, we're dangerously dangling on the precipice of no longer having the rule of law, but having the rule of the majority.
That's right. That's right.
And if it's the majority that can set what the law is, then what happens to the minority?
That's right. That's right. Because
there is no barrier against the majority imposing its will on the minority.
This country has become a godless country living under the culture of death, and the moral standards have been slowly slipping away. And this is what's happening in our country today. And because again, it goes back to what you said, is these people want to just change everything around and make it for their own benefits.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just it. I mean, we're getting back to the legal argument. Is it's really we've gotten to the point where we're heading towards where there's no objective standard for what's right or what's wrong.
That's right. Exactly. I agree. 100%. But I mean, this is where you need the laws in order to protect everybody, no matter who they are.
Correct.
Like you said about Kavanaugh. I mean, this was a fiasco all over TV.
Oh.
What his wife, and his family went through, this is craziness. You know, all the stuff that had nothing to do. How come a person who was 30 years as a judge down in Washington, D.C., all of a sudden can't be a decent judge because he was nominated for Supreme Court? This doesn't make any sense.
Well,
if he wasn't good...
Unfortunately, what it seems to me is what's happened is that we've become so highly divided on a political sense that no matter what the other side is doing, there's going to be something wrong with it.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
And
yes.
we have the juggler politics where they just go to try to kill the person.
That's right.
Instead of actually trying to argue out the issues.
And that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. Like you say, you're innocent until proven guilty. And I mean, nothing was really accomplished by all this, but a whole bunch of nothing. Basically, if you stop and think about it.
Well, in the end, he was confirmed.
Yeah, right. So, yeah.
But again, that was, so now you got, I don't know what the vote, I guess I had one switch over, but I mean, the vote was very close. It was pretty much on party lines.
Right.
And 20 years ago, you never would have seen that.
No,
You
no.
never
no,
would have
no,
seen
no,
that. You might have had 10, 12 people voting against him,
Yeah.
a particular candidate.
Right.
But it's like, I mean, here was a guy who had already been a judge for what, eight years?
Yeah.
Are we done?
But anyway, this
Okay,
is,
already been a judge for over 8 years.
yeah, yeah,
Had already gone through like three or four other background reviews. I think the fact when they did the second one this time was his sixth
yeah,
background review. And never before had any of these issues been raised.
right,
And all of a sudden, now that he's going to the Supreme Court,
yeah,
we have somebody from California coming forward and saying, oh, well, when I was in high school and he was in high school, this happened.
yeah,
And then we have, when these people were at the party. Oh, well, I meant these people were at the party.
yeah,
Oh, well, guess what? All the people who were at the party say it didn't happen. It's okay. We still have to believe you.
Yeah, right,
Because you
exactly.
said that this happened 30 years ago.
Right, right.
Even though he never came forward
Yeah.
when he was
A judge.
when he was going through all the other background
Yes,
investigations.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
And when he was being put on
yeah,
the circuit
right, yeah.
court.
All of a sudden, you remember
But
something.
now that he's going on the Supreme Court,
Yeah,
and now
so-
that we're worried
Yeah.
about, you know, certain issues
Yeah.
not being decided
Right,
the right way according to the way we think,
that's right,
then
Yeah, I mean, like,
we
but
have to destroy him. We basically have to destroy him.
that's right, yeah, yeah.
But-
Just a big fiasco, that was like a soap opera on TV, basically, that's all it was, but unfortunately, things happen like that. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Robert,
Sure.
and discuss about how you as an attorney and a Catholic, you know, have to, you know, practice law and still make sure that your faith is still with you.
Well, you got to think of St. Thomas More, right?
That's right, Thomas More, there you go, yeah. I was gonna mention him and also John Fisher from England.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean,
those
what
two
is-
guys were pretty good about who, you know, what God's law was and the King's law, but,
Well, yeah.
yeah,
Well, what did he say in the movie? Right? There's pretty much a paraphrase of what he actually said when he was
Yeah.
on the scaffold. He said, "The king has commanded me to be brief, and brief I shall be. I die the king's good servant, but God's first."
there you go. Says it all. It says it all. I appreciate you again coming on.
All right, sure.
Maybe we do a
Thank you.
show again sometime about something else, huh?
Sure. Maybe
Okay,
talk about the Catholic Bar Association.
We can do that too. I appreciate that very much. So
I
anyway,
doubt there are too many people in the audience.
well, that's okay. We'll work at it, Robert. Okay. Well, thanks again for coming on. And
Sure.
for my audience, whenever we meet again, may Almighty God bless you. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.